Walking Stick Library presents ConTrails and Jet Exhausts with your librarian hostess with the mostest, Eileen Kramer. And don't forget, you can catch this stream live on Twitch. This video is something I made for a CloudHub user named RBN. He commented on one of my streams. Here he is over here. This is Red BN. And he commented on one of my videos and said, "Don't you know there's a lot of bad stuff in ChemTrails?" And I said, "You're right." And I had some content from January 25th that talks about that. So, on with the show. I do not feel like signing off, so maybe we will do the jet fuel, the ComTrails tonight. When you're on someplace like CloudHub, you hear a lot about chemtrails. And those are the trails that come out of jets. And I live near airports, and I look in the sky and I see them, and I see the ComTrails, chemtrails, whatever they are. And I think, what's in them? Because a few days ago, we were doing toxic soup, and sure enough, we found lead in the soil. And they say you find it from leaded aviation fuel. That's better than any words I can relate. So what the heck is in the ComTrails? What the heck's in jet fuel? Let's open up and we can get started. I can't promise you we're going to go all the way on this, but as long as you're staying, I'm staying. Well, maybe not all night. Not all night and Stucky, but I'm putting you back up. But as long as you want to stay. Okay. We are in Miro land, and I need more beautiful Miro space, which I'm going to get. I'm going way up this time because I'm in the mood to go up. And what we are looking for is, I'm going to get my colors good first. What we are looking for is I am looking for jet exhaust. And I'm concerned about the health effects of being exposed to this stuff. And over here, I'm also concerned that it's polluting. I'm also concerned about the fuel that is used. I've heard it has lead in it. Not just sulfur, but lead, which is a known toxin. So, yeah, I mean, just because somebody thinks that there's all kinds of weird stuff and chemtrails are giving us COVID does not mean that jet exhaust is healthy. I mean, that ought to be obvious, but it's not. I'll put our squiggles in. This will have a real and I think we are again going to use the big box tonight because I'm not sure where this ends up or how it ends up, if it all ends up in Medline. There, we can make it nice for you. Anyway, we can run this on our main library and we'll take a look. Okay, I'm going to get a GSU library up. And here we are. And all all we have to do is put in jet exhaust and health. In fact, I'm going to add an asterisk because I'm not sure if it's exhaust or exhausts. And let's see what we get. Ah, 2013, the airport atmospheric environment, respiratory health at work. And this is 2013 European Respiratory Review. Evaluation of gene environment interaction with PON1, low-level nerve agent exposure, Gulf War illness, the prevalence of a case-controlled study around the world. Airports, air pollution, and contemporaneous health. Okay, I'm not seeing anything that's particularly new, and that's worrying me. So what I'm thinking is we either want to get the heck out of here and go over to Medline, or we just say, I think we go over to Medline. Okay, I'm going to get another GSU library. Let's do that. And let's go to Medline and get all that Medline-y goodness. And Medline will actually give us a lot. What we'll do is close read when we get in. I am just going to put, since Medline is a medical database, I won't need the health part. That becomes implied. This part becomes implied. And we can go over here and put in jet exhaust. Okay. Nice. There are two of them. Okay, that's noise radiation. Most of these are fairly old. They're very worried about the noise. Okay. We'll try the one about people working at the airports. I like that one. And let's work down here. Now there's another name for this. Airport apron workers who get a lot of air, who breathe a lot of this stuff, are occupationally exposed to jet exhaust, and major concern is related to the exposure of ultrafine particles from aircrafts. To date, little attention has been given to occupational exposure to aircraft related UFP, although aircraft engines have high emissions of ultrafine particles, which are orders of magnitude higher than residential exposure. UFP could possibly contribute to the development of cancer, heart disease, mental illness, and respiratory symptoms. In addition to particulate matter, apron workers exposed to other polluting substances associated with vehicles, aircraft, or direct fuel emissions. Now the date on this is 2020. Has anybody done anything with this? Merzenich is the author. Now what I would do with this, since we're still getting real scattered stuff, is one of two things. Let me get Google up. I am not a good speller, and I'm not sure it's ChemTrails or ConTrails. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a very quick ratty, lousy search. Control of exposure to jet fuel, CDC. Jet fuels and public health. Jet engine pollution, Southern Maryland. I think these are called ConTrails. Yep. Project ConTrails, preventing contrails with AI. Okay, so there's a lot of this here, and jet fuel apparently is pretty nasty stuff. Many veterans have been exposed to jet fuels during their military service. Some veterans may have been exposed while performing certain jobs such as fueling an aircraft, transporting jet fuel, maintaining jet fuel storage tanks, fueling generators, or tending burn pits. Exposures may have also occurred due to accidental spills. Jet fuels may have been absorbed through the skin, and these are the different kinds of jet fuels they use. And then President Biden signed the PACT Act, which is to help people who've been injured. And this is the Maryland Fair Skies Coalition. This is ConTrails Center for Science Education. What is UCAR? Okay. I don't know who they are, who we are. UCAR is a nonprofit consortium of 130 North American colleges and universities focused on research and training in earth and system science. Okay, so we can trust these guys, that these are your ConTrails. The white streaks you see coming off high-flying jet airplanes are called ConTrails, which is short for condensation trails. ConTrails are clouds that form when water vapor condenses and freezes around small particles, aerosols, in aircraft exhaust. The water vapor comes from the air around the plane and the exhaust of the aircraft. These ConTrails can become human-made cirrus clouds. ConTrails last longer when there is a greater amount of water in the air. When all the water in the clouds evaporates, the contrail disappears. There are 3 types of ConTrails: short-lived, persistent, non-spreading, and persistent or spreading. Okay, that's helpful. And here we have a project to get rid of ConTrails. ConTrails, short for condensation trails, are the line-shaped clouds that sometimes you see behind airplanes. They form when water vapor in the air condenses around tiny particles of soot and other pollutants emitted by airplane engines. And here ConTrails warm the earth. And they contribute to global warming. And they're going to use AI to prevent them. I'm not all that interested. But I know how it's spelled. So we could look to see who has cited this, or we could try jet fuel and see what we get. I'm going to put in jet fuel. This is one of our synonyms, and we should get the health things. Well, we don't care about making jet fuel. We're making it here. I'm more interested in the illnesses it can cause. Oh, none of these are helping. Okay, we go back to here. You go out, you go in. We're going to take this off and try it this way. Okay, we try again. And health. Could also do diseases. I just want to get us in close. Not nice stuff, is it? Aha, this one is 2022. Air quality and health-related impacts of traditional and alternate jet fuels. What are they calling this down here? Air pollutants analysis. Not much help. But we could again see who cited it and whom they cite, because this is a 2022. Ah. Okay. Okay, service members exposed to jet fuels. Toward eliminating soot emissions from jet fuel combustion. Since the soot is a problem. And this one was what year? 2023. So we're kind of getting there. What sometimes works better, this definitely is not stuff you want to breathe. What we might want to do, because this is Medline land, we take out health, we put in, I need my pen here, pen. This is going to pick it up down in the subject headings, which is what we want. We can slip in diseases, and again, this one works. Ew, epigenome-wide association study for transgenerational disease, sperm epimutation biomarkers for ancestral exposure to jet fuel hydrocarbons. Yikes. Jet fuel noise and the central auditory nervous system, a literature review, 2015. Effects of aerosol vapor JP8 fuel on the functional observational battery and learning and memory in a rat. Community health impacts after a jet fuel leak contaminated the drinking water. Not quite what we were thinking about. Inhalation of hydrocarbon jet fuel suppresses central auditory nervous system function. Hydrocarbons, jet fuel JP8 induces epigenetic transgenerational inheritance of obesity, reproductive disease, and sperm epimutations, 2013. Influence of hydrocarbon composition and exposure on conditions of jet fuel-induced immunotoxicity. I want to see if they have any good subject headings in there, and I'm going to check my squawk box. You're not squawking, but you're in there, and I'm doing all the talking. And here they don't have it specifically, but it's there. And there's one more thing I'm worried about, and I noticed this when we were doing the soil, lead in the soil. Jet fuel is leaded. I did not know that until I looked up soil contamination. But lead is in jet fuel, unlike car fuel. So let's slip in that lead and see what we get. Not good stuff, but I don't see the lead in there. I know it's in there, it's just not showing. We could look and see if the lead is in there somewhere. I'm going to hit Control F and type in lead. And then I'm going to hit this again and we've got it. We've got leads. No lead. Okay, there's a better way to get at the lead. Mesh 2025, term begins with lead. I just wanted to get mentioned, and I'm not sure tetraethyl lead is in here. We could try. It doesn't have it. Okay, we're fine. We can run the search. We'll just run lead as a search. I don't know why we can't search the database with it. It let us. And we're going to add jet fuel. Or jet exhaust. Let's see if we get it. Oh, lovely. So we didn't get it. Isn't in here. I'm going to take this back out to the big box. I'm disgusted. And what we did here was, I can show you this better. This has an or. This goes bye-bye. I go pick up my pen. Or. And we're picking up from both. Okay, so we're going to run this at the main library. And we just get back inside, and you could run this at your own library. And we need to take the MH out. So we're going to do that. A little bit of typing, and jet fuel or jet exhaust. What can you find me? And of course, we always have to log in again. That's just the way this works. Okay. I have no idea. I'm going to go in here and hope we find the lead. I need to pull this up. Just there, that's all it is. And I know it's out there. Lead and jet fuel and soil. I know it's out there. Wow, that's my answer in the slop. Jet fuel as a source of soil pollution. Mapping lead lurking in our soil. Is avgas really a concern? So it's aviation gas used on propeller airplanes that's got it. And here we have it, EPA's data analysis of piston engine aircraft. So this is the thing that had there isn't any lead in the ConTrails, but piston engine aircraft are a bit of a problem. And we do have a general aviation airport up near the Chambly MARTA station. EPA has engaged, and this is a year ago, so this is not very long ago. EPA has actively engaged in the investigation of lead emissions from aircraft that operate on leaded fuel, the majority of which are piston engine aircraft. This data collection and analysis included the evaluation of the concentrations of lead in air at and near airports, as well as potentially exposed population. The investigation included a peer review and several assessments. And they've got a whole bunch of stuff here. So apparently it's not in jet fuel, but it is in aviation gas, which is used in propeller planes, piston engine aircraft. And the aircraft fuel that is used is kerosene. Your jets run on kerosene, the stuff they used to use for lanterns. So kerosene is widely used in various types of anthropogenic activities. Its environmental safety is mainly discussed in the context of aerospace activities. At all stages of its life cycle, aerospace activity impacts the environment. In aviation, the pollution of atmospheric air and terrestrial ecosystems is caused, first of all, by jet fuel and the products of its incomplete combustion, and is technologically specified for a number of models. In the case of fuel leak during an emergency landing, in rocket and space activities, jet fuel enters the terrestrial ecosystem as a result of fuel spills from engines, fuel tanks at the crash sites, and the first stages of launch vehicles. As I've said before, toxic soup. You can't argue with toxic soup. I'm going to put my curtain down. Thank you so much for watching. And don't forget, you can catch me live on Twitch.